So in terms of a picture painting 1,000 words, there's a new feature within Pragmatic Tracker available to all of you for assessing your own caseload called the scatter chart. And that's great as an individual level, and I'll say something about that in a little while, about how you can identify cases that maybe aren't progressing as you'd like them to be. But this is a way of aggregating all of that data together as well from all of you. So these are looking at data within Pragmatic Tracker of closed cases where there's either or both of a core 10 and an impact of event scale available at first point of measurement, like when they first start, and at the end of treatment as well. And so you can see there's 1,538 cases represented here, results on 2,500, meaning that's joining the two measures together. And the message about this, just zooming in on it a bit more, is basically this dotted line up here, the diagonal line running from bottom left to top right, represents the no change line. So a dot that's on that line means the score when they entered treatment was the same as the score when they left treatment. There was no change took place. Any dot that's to the right of that line shows an improvement. So in other words, your exit score is better than your entry score. And any dot that's to the left of that line shows a deterioration, where the exit score is actually worse than your starting out score. Now, obviously, what one wants to see is most people clustering on the right side of this dotted diagonal line. And as you can see, there are huge numbers here, far greater. It's probably about 3 out of 4 are the right side of the line, if you like. Of course, there's always going to be people the left side of the line. In an ideal world, everyone would get better, everyone would behave themselves, their core scores would improve, the impact of event scores would improve. Life isn't like that. But the fact is, the vast majority of clients do improve significantly under our care. And what that translates to, over here on this left side of the screen, you can see the average scores then. The average intake score of the core 10 is 23.4. Now let me point out, that is a very high average intake score. A typical primary care score that you might see out in the general population of people going to GPs, let's say, to access primary care services for psychological distress is 19. So this is 5 points, 4 or 5 points higher than that average. So that, in other words, what that is saying is this is a very distressed population. And you can see the enormous aggregate average improvement of the core comes from 23.4 down to 12.8, which is an enormous improvement. And similarly, with the impact of events, from 51 down to 26. So huge improvements in aggregate of like the average improvement score. This translates then into what's called an effect size of 1.53. And an effect size is simply a measurement of the magnitude of change. The larger the amount of change, the larger the effect size. Now, all I need to really say about this is an effect size of 1 or more is a very large effect. So 1.5 is a really big effect and incredibly respectable. And I mean, the beauty about this to me is that here's an organization that, you know, doesn't just go on about making claims about the effectiveness of its treatment. It sets about methodically to measure every client that it sees routinely in the process of care and reports on it, and has that information available live through Pragmatic Tracker at any point in time. So, you know, if anyone ever asks, well, how do we know that the work you do is any good? This picture tells that story very, very well. And of course, the question I would like to ask of other organizations is, show me something similar. Show me from your organization the results that you get from measuring your clients, every single client at a time, you know? So I suppose my point is that this 11 years of effort has yielded a fantastic fruit here, which shows the quality of the work that all you guys are doing day to day with a very difficult client population that's very distressed on average at intake.